catches, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound box. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Triple Double Podcast. It is March 12th, 2018. It feels good to be back. As always, I'm Eddie Fitzgerald.
I'm Cam McKee.
I'm Hunter Nicely.
My goodness, fellas, it's been some time. Lots of stuff has happened, not just in the league, but outside of the league. You know, we've been dealing with scheduling conflicts, so we couldn't get in the studio to do another pod. We have missed the trade deadline, which is unfortunate, but you know, stuff happens. And
it is what it is.
It is what it is. But we're here right now. We're not necessarily going to talk about the NBA this episode because I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, otherwise known as the March Madness tournament. But that's coming up. The first 4 games are this week, and the first games are the first round are this weekend.
Starting
tomorrow, first 4. So, with that being said, we're going to go through our final 4 of our brackets that we've devised. Now, this is an asterisk in there. This isn't necessarily our set in stone final 4. We still have a lot of research to do, but this is what our gut reactions are as far as the final 4 goes. We're going to break off into some sleepers who we think might get a cheeky upset in the first round or maybe the second round. And then we have some Cinderella stories who we think just might find their way into a Final Four or a national championship. Sound like a plan, fellas?
Oh, yes, sir.
All right. So we're going to start off. I'll kick it off with my Final Four. The people that I have right now are Miami, Xavier, Nova, and Michigan State. Nova and Michigan State are the 2 obvious ones. Most people have them going in their Final Four. Miami, I guess, is the biggest one. That's the biggest shock. In my opinion, when I've watched Miami, they're a bunch of hustlers. I would say that at the helm, freshman Lonnie Walker is perhaps one of the most impressive guards I've seen come out into college basketball in recent years. I think that his attitude, his ability as a defender, as a playmaker, on the dribble, off the dribble, is fantastic. And I don't think that teams, at least in this path, have any real answer for him. I think that if you take a look at, I have him facing in the, what would that be, the Sweet 16. I had them facing Texas and Trae Young. I don't think that, or not Oklahoma. That Texas is, that's Oklahoma. My goodness.
Mo Bamba.
It's
Mo Bamba.
It's Mo Bamba. My apologies. Same Southern school, different state. It's I don't think that there's going to be any way to stop Miami, at least in this path. Xavier, I think Xavier's very underrated, even though they're a 1 seed. I think that most people have Michigan or Ohio State or UNC in their Final Four, and I just completely disagree. I think that Xavier's going to take it all the way to the Final Four. I have Miami beating Xavier, and then I have Nova in the championship. I think, honestly, I love Miami this year. I don't know why. I don't know why. I'm a little bit crazy, but I think that it's fine. And I have Nova winning it all. I don't think that they make it all the way and they complete the process. All right, Cam, what do you got?
Well, first off, I just wanted to say I have Loyola Chicago defeating Miami in the first round. Knocking them out of the tournament entirely.
Yeah, we'll see.
So, my Final Four, a lot of blue bloods in there, which is probably not going to end up very well for me, but that may change from here and there. So, of course, I have University of Virginia right there. They have some of the greatest defense I've seen. Like, everyone says, oh, Virginia's always got a great defense. Like, Tony Bennett's a defensive coach. This is different. This team, led by Kyle Guy, one of my favorite players, one of the nicest players in the league, they are on another level when it comes to defense. So I think they will make it to the Final Four. I have, of course, the North Carolina Tar Heels. This will be their third Final Four in 4 years if they make it. They still got Joel Berry. They still got Luke May. They still got
Theo Pinson.
Theo Pinson. How about that? That man is coming out of nowhere. Excuse me. And they have a lot of the players returning. I think Roy Williams gets it done again to the Final Four. On the other side, I have Villanova as well. I agree with that. They have a pretty easy draw to the Final Four, besides maybe a Bama, Colin Sexton, or Virginia Tech. I think both of those teams are going to give Nova trouble, but I think they will end up beating them. And I also have Michigan State in the Final Four. A lot of people have this. I wouldn't say they're underseeded. They're seeded where they should be, but in the term of their talent, they shouldn't be a 3 seed. So I think they make it. They beat Duke. They beat Kansas. So it's a tough road, but I think they make it. In the final, I've got Virginia, again, with their great defense, and Michigan State. But in the end, defense wins championships. It's going to be a low game. It's going to be about 66-62 maybe. I think Virginia's going to win.
Boy, I'm about to break both your hearts here. So I agree, both of you. Nova, Michigan State in the Final Four. We'll start with Nova's side. I think they're going to have a really tough time. Second round game, possibly against Alabama. Colin Sexton has been absolutely killing it lately, making himself, as I think, maybe the best guard.
Did somebody say
right
Kemba
now.
Walker?
Oh my God!
Possibly.
No way! No way is Colin Sexton anyway close to Kemba Walker.
I'm comparing it to the run that Kemba Walker made.
Okay. I was about to say. I was like, what? My goodness! Continue, Hunter, please.
But then this is. I think the East and the Midwest are both just kind of death brackets for the NCAA right here. Nova could play Alabama. They could have either West Virginia or Wichita State. They could play Texas Tech. They could play Arkansas. They could play Purdue. That's so many good teams that could beat Villanova. But I think they're still going to find a way to get out of this. In the Midwest, I have Michigan State coming out of that part of the bracket. This is also a really tough bracket. You got Michigan State, you have Kansas, and you have Duke all in the same bracket, who all very well could end up going to the Final Four. I have Michigan State beating Kansas in the Elite Eight to get there. And then one team that about a month ago I was saying, like, hey, this team could make the Final Four. And then the last couple of weeks, everybody's like, oh, yeah, this team's going to make the Final Four. That team is Michigan. All right, Mo Wagner and Duncan Robinson.
I hate that, man.
They are a dynamic duo that can't be stopped right now. They won the Big Ten tournament. Who do they play first? Let me find here. They play Montana, underrated scary Montana team. I think they're gonna handle Xavier. I think they're gonna beat North Carolina. It's just I think they have. Well, it's not an easy road, but I think they may have the easiest road to the Final Four.
We have no idea what Michigan team's going to show up, though. They have not played in 2 weeks by the time they play. I think they may come out dry, and a Montana team who has nothing to lose, who's going to throw everything out on the line, may attack that in the first round. I have Michigan winning, but I'm saying if they come out slow, Montana's going to jump on them.
Hey, man, Montana had a nice win over Pitt, who went 0-18 in the ACC, so that's a good win for them. But then in the South, Cam, you were talking about Virginia. Defense wins championships. Well, here, the guy Mark Jackson. He's known for saying that was great defense, but better offense. Arizona is going to beat Virginia, and they're going to advance.
Now, why is the Arizona the pinnacle of offense all of a sudden?
Have you heard of this man called DeAndre Ayton? He's going to be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. There's not a player in the entire NCAA that can handle that man. All right, and Virginia's going to play some great defense, but DeAndre Ayton's going to have some better offense.
I also have Arizona defeating.
Oh, Eddie, I appreciate
defeating,
that.
UVA.
But then Final Four, I've got Arizona, DeAndre Ayton beating Michigan. I think DeAndre Ayton's just going to dominate the NCAA tournament. I have Michigan State beating Villanova. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth game. I think it's going to be a great game to watch. And then I have Arizona, who is just really upset with with the DeAndre Ayton $100,000 issue. I think Arizona is really, really mad. I think Arizona is going to beat Michigan State, win the NCAA championship.
Yes, as my dog barks all the time. And I think that one of the biggest things, especially that I don't think I articulated very well, Miami did finish third in the ACC. They were one of the better defensive teams overall, but they're also one of the best distributive teams overall. On their team, they average close to about 73 points a game. They are only giving up about 64 per game, or 68. And I think that if you take a look at their points differential, like their splits, you have multiple guys scoring close to 12 points a game, and then you have close to reaching 10 points a game. So you have multiple scorers all throughout that team who I think that can be very lethal, especially if they get the right bracket. I think.
Yeah, I like Arizona. Don't get me wrong. DeAndre Ayton should be going number one. He is a man amongst boys. He's insane. I actually have them getting by seeding an upset to Kentucky because Kentucky is getting hot right now. There's a bunch of young guys. They're freshmen. Not a single senior on the team. That's why they came off to a rough start. I think they've finally found their mojo, and they're going to turn into a premier team that is much better than a 5 seed. I think they can take on Arizona. DeAndre Ayton will do his thing, but I think everywhere else, Arizona's going to get shut down.
Cam, I really disagree with that. I think Kentucky has – I like Kevin Knox. They've been getting hot. But DeAndre Ayton's been hot all season. All right, DeAndre Ayton's going to handle Kentucky. And, Arizona's going to win the national championship.
Well, you are pretty hot when you have $100,000 to spend wherever you wish.
That's
I
not
think
even, that's not
honestly
even bad,
that could
he
be.
Should be getting like $10 million.
It's 1 year for $100,000 is a pretty good contract.
I would say that if you're gonna take, that into consideration as well with the whole scandal of the whole agency thing. I forget what the name of this crew is, but I think that would also probably propel DeAndre Ayton to go out and prove that he is a baller, not just some $100,000 player. And I think that one of the biggest things to focus on is maybe that will propel him to beating Virginia. Moving on, we're going to talk about some sleeper teams. We might. So these are teams that might necessarily be lower seeded, but might find their way into a Sweet 16 or maybe a just a first round W. We'll go in reverse order. We'll start with Hunter. Hunter, who's one of your biggest sleepers?
I got 2 sleepers. All right. First one I'm gonna go with is Bucknell. All right. So Bucknell defeated, I believe it was Colgate in their conference championship. They won by like 30. It was a blowout. Bucknell has 3 of the best 5 players in the entire Patriot League. Okay. They have 3 first-team All-Patriot League players. They're by far and away the best team in the Patriot League. Who do they play first? They play Michigan State. I hate the matchup for Bucknell. I don't think they're going to win this game. But if Bucknell finds a way, if they find a way to dig deep, beat a blue blood, Michigan State, they then will play either Syracuse, TCU / Arizona State. I think they would win that game too, and then I think they would end up losing to a Rhode Island or Duke. But Bucknell's got a very good shot. My second team is 16-seeded Penn University. They're playing Kansas in the first round, okay? So both these teams shoot a lot of threes, both of them. The thing about Penn is they don't have like one dominant player who you're going to have to go out and stop him. They have had this year 8 different players that have scored at least 20 points in one game. They shoot a ton of threes. If this game turns into a who can shoot the 3 ball the best kind of game, I think Penn has a legit shot at beating Kansas. I think Kansas will win, but I think Penn's going to make it close. They're going to make Kansas sweat.
All right. Cam.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the sentiments you made there. To add on some different sleeper teams, we got New Mexico State. They have gotten hot. Chris Jans has just done a great job with this program. They're 28-5. I think they've beaten Miami. They've beaten Davidson. They're one team you could watch out for. Auburn is kind of shaky, so you might want to watch out. New Mexico State beat Clemson, beat Auburn. Then they're looking at Kansas or maybe Penn if they really get hot. Some other teams I have, Arkansas. I have Arkansas beating Purdue in the second round. I think they could beat Texas Tech if they really get the ball rolling. And the final team I want to throw out there is the Missouri Tigers. And everyone knows why I'm saying this. It's because of the man, Michael Porter Jr. If Michael Porter Jr. finds it, if he gets it together, they are a scary team. And him and his brother combined could really do some damage because no one knows what's coming from him. No one has been able to watch any film on him. So if he gets going, I think a lot of teams are going to have trouble guarding them.
All right. I would say that one of my bigger teams both come out of Rhode Island. I have Providence and URI. I think that Providence has an easy go against Texas A&M. I think they're going to take care of them easily. I think that UNC tends to choke in the tournaments. I know they won it last year, but they're due for a early second round exit. I think that URI goes up against Oklahoma and Trae Young. I don't think that they can play really much defense against, Oklahoma, that is, can play a lot of defense up against URI. I think that their abilities as the guard play, I think Trae Young defensively is weak. I think that Jared Terrell is going to take care of him very easily. They're both seniors. They're seniors. They've been in the tournament for a while now. I think that if you take that into account, I think that the URI is going to be pretty good. SF Austin always does really good in the tournament for whatever reason.
I have them as a Cinderella.
And I think that they should be an easy first round upset over Texas Tech, and I think that they could beat Florida possibly. Overall, as far as another upset, a sleeper, Wright State, for whatever reason, I just don't trust Tennessee. I think that there are certain teams in the tournament that you just have a feeling about, that they just don't, they're not ready for it, or
I think
that
almost every SEC team in the tournament,
right?
is not ready for the tournament.
A lot of people have the SEC none of the SEC teams making out of day.
And I feel like that's very indicative of the conference as a whole. It's whatever. Another team possibly. I don't know if they get past Michigan State, but Syracuse will probably upset TCU. I wouldn't necessarily call them a sleeper. A lot of people don't think that they deserve to be in the tournament, and they're probably right. But since they're here, I think that they can do some. I think they can do some damage in Boeheim's last year.
Last time Syracuse made the tournament, and everybody thought they shouldn't have made the tournament. I believe they made the final.
It was Michael Carter-Williams, wasn't it? That was they made it to the Final Four.
I believe they made the Final Four that year.
It was so weird. It was freaky. They were the 11th seed, and they made it all the way. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Michael Carter-Williams. Anyway, we're going to shift topics down over to Cinderella stories. We're going to go, again, reverse of the reverse order, so I'm going to start. I would say that the biggest Cinderella story probably for myself is, I don't know, maybe Texas. If you're going to, they have an easy route. I think they beat Nevada. I don't think that they beat Miami personally, but Texas is, it's technically a 10th seed. They could easily make their way into the Elite Eight and possibly the Final Four. Mobamba is pretty good at basketball, I would say.
He's all right.
He's all right. He's all right. He's just going to be a top 10 pick in the draft.
Got a 7, 8 wingspan.
Something like that. Something nuts. And I think that's something that, not a lot of teams have and not a lot of teams can score on. So I would say that Texas is my big Cinderella story to watch out for. Cam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have another one, but I also agree with Texas. Shaka Smart, former coach of VCU, he's been there as the Cinderella team. He knows what it's like, so I think he could rally the troops. I'm going to go with SF Austin, as you were saying with your sleeper teams. This is a team that every year they're in here, they just do something crazy. If they beat Texas Tech, they're looking at either Florida or more likely the 11th seed between St. Bonaventure and UCLA, because a lot of people think Florida's going to be upset. And I think they could take that all the way to maybe the Sweet 16, even the Elite Eight. Who knows? If Arkansas beats Purdue and then Arkansas is a bad game. All I'm saying is if SF Austin channels their inner Thomas Walkup, I think they're going to do some damage.
All right, Hunter.
All right, so my team is actually, I know I was just bashing the SEC, but my team's actually out of the SEC that I think could make a run. Not a lot of people are really expecting this. It's Arkansas. Arkansas is kind of like the poor man's version of West Virginia basketball. West Virginia is in your face, full court man pressure,
Virginia.
Constantly. Yeah, press Virginia. I know I would absolutely despise playing West Virginia because I would turn the ball over every single time. But Arkansas, I think they're going to take care of Butler. Then they got Purdue, And I think just the aggressiveness and the speed that Arkansas plays at, I don't think Purdue's going to be able to keep up. And then they're going to play a team like possibly SF Austin, St. Bonaventure, Texas Tech, maybe UCLA. I think they're going to handle them. Then their big test is going to be against Villanova. And at that point, anything can happen.
That's fair. Anything can happen in the men's basketball tournament. This has been the Triple Double Podcast. We want to thank you all. We do have a bit of a short episode today, but nevertheless, we will be back soon. Be sure to follow us on all social media. I think Hunter is going to tweet out and Instagram out our brackets, so that way you can all make fun of them and tell us how stupid we are.
See how wrong we really
See
were.
how wrong that we actually are. I think that that's going to be a lot of fun. Be sure to tweet us out your brackets. Be sure to share with us. That way we can make fun of you as well. Be sure to share this video. Be sure to like and subscribe. With that being said, this has been the Triple Double Podcast. I'm Eddie Fitzgerald.
I'm Cam McKee.
I'm Hunter Nicely.
And have a great day, everybody.